Hello YouTube, this is You Can Do It Dave. Now, with the hot weather just ending, I'm finding that after running these fans all summer, you start to get slight little problems with them, and they don't quite want to run as good as they used to. Now, I'm not sure if you can hear the fan that I have running in front of you, but it has kind of a pulsing sound. And basically what's happening is the bearings inside the fan are starting to gum up and not turn as effectively. So what I'm going to do today, today's project, is to make this fan run better. Okay, so just going to have to take it apart, oil it up, grease it up, put it back together, and turn it back on. So I will walk you through the steps on how I do that. Okay, so for all of you who would like to try and repair your own fan, this is the safety message. Electricity can kill, okay? Make sure when you're working on your fan that it is disconnected, it's unplugged, and it's turned off, okay? If you need to test run it for any reason, be very careful. That's the safety message. To begin with, turn the fan off. And we remove the cover. So flip that little thing up, flip that little thing up, and then lift that off, set that aside. Okay. Then take this off. Take the fan blade off, set that aside, make sure you don't break it. Okay, now this thing here should just pop off. Oh, no, we got a screw here too. And then that lifts off. Okay, so now we're into just the motor unit. So now every fan is slightly different. Okay, this one here has 4 screws on the front and 1 screw on the back. Okay, now if we turn it on, you can hear it kind of grinding and pulsing. That's what we want to fix. Okay, so we'll start by taking these screws out here. And you just lift the front cover right off. Okay. Set all the screws and the cover aside. Don't lose any pieces. Now you want to go to the back and remove the back. Now, to slide this back piece off, you have to remove this little post here. And that's the same thing. As you put the screwdriver in the top, loosen off the screw, and it just comes right off. Don't lose the screw either. Okay, then you turn it around, you take this little tiny screw out the back here. Don't lose that one. And that should come right off as well. While you're working on this fan, don't be surprised if the motor is hot. Okay, the bearings inside there are gummed up and starting to not work, which means the fan is taking more power to run, and that power is being transmitted into heat, and that is one hot motor. Okay, so kind of watch what you're touching there. So once you've got the motor unit exposed, you have a bearing out front here, and you need to get to the bearing at the back. Okay, so now what you're looking at here is you have the drive motor and the drive shaft going through the fan. Okay, on the back here is the thing that makes the fan turn. If you want it to turn and blow the air all the way around the house, that is what does it. Okay, it takes the rotation of the drive shaft this way, turns it this way, and then turns it that way. Okay, so I could probably show you here. Just like that. Okay, so it's taking the rotation, the horizontal rotation of the drive shaft and making it vertical. And then this little wheel here is making it turn. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to remove this to get to that bearing. Okay, for this fan, it's fairly simple. Okay, you have 3 screws, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So we can take those 3 screws off. Don't lose them either. And that motor is still hot. Now don't be surprised when you're taking this thing apart that you find all kinds of stuff in there, like cat hair and dirt and dust and all that stuff. Okay, so you've got all 3 of those screws taken out, okay, and you can just see the bearing in there. Okay, I like to be able to get to the bearing itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this screw out here. Okay, just like that. Set that aside. Okay. Then you can just pull it off, and there you go. So you can see the gears in there. Actually, you can probably see them turning. Okay, and that is what drives it. So now what you have to do, you see how dry that is? That's really dry. So now what we can do is we can try and grease these up. Get all the dirt and dust out of it. I'm trying to leave the grease on the bearing. I don't want to disturb that. I just want to clean all the black stuff out of there. Turn it around and do the front. Okay, so I've laid the fan down. I've laid the fan down on the table. Okay. This next step, what I like to do is I like to use 3-in-1 oil, just a couple of drops, and just some lithium grease. Okay. And what the 3-in-1 oil will do is you can put just a drop or 2 in there. And what that will do is it will go down in and it will penetrate down into that bearing, because you have to remember that there's a bunch of dust and dirt and stuff in there, so you got to get it out of there. And that's what's nice about it moving up and down. You can see there's a little bits of stuff there. See that right there? Just little bits of stuff. So you put the oil in there, let it work its way down in. Okay. Then you can flip it over. And do the same thing on the other side. Okay. Put just a little dab of oil. Just a little drop or 2. That's all you need. Just enough to get in there and lubricate things. Okay. Then once I've got that done, then you can go ahead and you can put a kind of a sealer coat. That's what I like to think of it. put a little sealer coat of lithium grease on there, and that will kind of seal everything in. Okay, just like that. Then you can flip it over again. And same thing with the other side, is put just a little dab of grease on there. It helps if you give it a spin, the shaft will grab a hold of it and take it with it. Just like that. There, so we've got a nice little skim coat of grease. So now we can put it all back together and see how it runs. So now, since I've done this a few times, I find it's rather easy to remember where all the screws and stuff go. But if you have trouble remembering where to put where everything came from, you can always set up a camera like this and just record yourself taking it apart. Now, I did wipe off a bit of grease off the drive shaft here, so I'm going to apply a little bit extra back onto it. Okay. Just like that. And as you can see, there's just a thin layer of grease on the bearing there. Brand new, shiny grease. Okay, so we have to reattach this little guy here, just like that. Okay, so now I'm trying to put this thing back together again, and I will tell you I ran into a little bit of a snag, and that is that over on this side over here, there's a wire clip. Okay, so when you put it together, or when you take it apart and put it together, one screw is longer than the other for that wire clip. Okay, I tried putting this little guy in there and it would not go in, That is why. Okay, so when you pull it apart, keep an eye out and make sure that you put the right screw in the right spot. Okay. Snug them up nice. Then we reinstall this capacitor. And the fan is now back together. Okay. So now all we got to do is put the outside cover on. Now we can give it a try. And to stop it from turning, remember, you just pull up the tab. But if you can hear that, nice and quiet. Back to running the way it was. Okay, so we'll put this back together, and then we'll see how it works with all the blades on. Fairly easy to see where the holes are. That's good. All these screws are the same size. Okay, so that's all back together. Now we can put the guard back on. And it usually has guide pins. Okay, so you know it's on right. It's nice and snug. And you can put your fan blade back on. Now this fan blade, very much like the one I just fixed in my last video, does have a pin that engages. Okay, and you might want to be able to clean all the dirt off your blade too while you're at it. increase the efficiency of the blade by making it clean. So you can make sure it engages the pin, just like that. Put the little screw on. Now remember, it threads to the left. It's backwards. And the reason they're backwards is so that as the fan is running, it actually tightens it on. So it won't, as the fan's running, it won't come off. Okay, so once you have the fan blade on, you can go ahead and clip the top of the fan guard on, clip the sides, and clip the bottom. And there you go. Your fan repair should be complete. A nice smooth running fan. So yeah, with a little grease and a little oil, you can bring your old fan back to life and avoid throwing it out. Reduce, reuse, recycle. This is You Can Do It Dave, and we'll see you next time.